and still wait to cast our vote. This is really crucial because if you don't partake, who will?
So just to recap on the announcements of all these things, who will be announcing and at what level, what point, when do we get results, when can we anticipate, feedback?
Yes, we've got the ZEC to announce the results. They are mandated in terms of the law, so we can only patiently wait and only give them a chance. Let's allow the processes to go through smoothly and await the results patiently.
We have had 11 candidates that will be vying for the top position in the country, and we are proud to say that Zimbabwe has seen an improvement from the past election where we had 23 candidates vying for this post, and this year we have Dr. Emerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa, Elizabeth Valerio, Joseph Makamba Busha, Nelson Chamisa, Trust Tapiwa Chikora, Blessing Kasia Muru, Lavo Maduku, Wilbert Archibald Mbayiwa, Gwinyai Henry Muzorewa, and Harry Potter Wilson. But in the event that there's a dispute, what's the procedure?
Well, in the event of a dispute or us failing as a nation to get the 50+1%, obviously we're going to go for the runoff in terms of the constitution. So really, one way or the other, that dispute will come to an end because it's provided for a law of what happens. And once the runoff is done, then we should have an answer.
By when?
Well, after the 5-day period, then it will be determined if we are to go for the runoff. If not, then within the 5-day period, I'm sure everything will be in order.
We've seen a lot of campaigning going on, and as of the 21st at midnight, all campaigning ceased.
Yes.
So in the event that we go for a runoff, what happens? Do people start campaigning again?
Communication will be received as to the dates for the runoff. That is in case we have to go there. And then again, a chance will be given to people to continue the campaigns, and when they are going to be shut, it will be shut before the night before the elections. So still everything is going to be communicated to the electorate.
Definitely. To October, we seem to have a bit of detail on what could happen and the probabilities. But as you know, that a total of 6.5 million people have registered to vote across the 12,340 polling stations in the 10 provinces, 11 presidential candidates, 59 electoral districts, and 29 political parties will be rallying for this year's general election, as today is the 23rd of August 2023. And it's exciting to just see how Zimbabweans have turned out. Young people are also voting for the first time, and I'm sure that people are still wondering if there's still an opportunity for them to go and cast their votes. Yes, if you are a registered voter, just make sure you go ahead with your ID, a valid passport or waiting pass. It's all allowed to hand in as identity for the voting today. But for today, we end it at that. And a special thank you to Nigiwe Ncube Chabalala, who's been with us to discuss the electoral process. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been such a pleasure. We now hand over to Farai to take us through proceedings and, of course, give us updates and further as the day progresses.
Posa giving us the rundown on the electoral processes taking place within the Midlands area from our Montrose studio. We're now going to be crossing over live to hear from Fungai Jachi, who is currently in Northern constituency, to be able to give us the developments taking place at the polling stations there.
2023 Zimbabwe decides, and I'm currently in Norton constituency at one of the polling stations in Ward 7, where there are quite long queues, but people are enjoying to get a chance to cast their ballots. And joining me right now is a first-time voter, Mr. Shepard Mtetwa, who is of course going to share with us how he is feeling that he got an opportunity to exercise his constitutional right to vote. Mr. Shepard, how are you feeling?
Actually, I'm feeling much excited because I've participated in a very peaceful election, and what I was thinking and what happened here, a few different things. I used to think that maybe voting process is complicated. I'd rather find out that it's just voting, it's so simple. And I'm urging my fellow youth to come and vote. So we're exercising their rights.
So you heard it from Mr. Shepherd that it is actually a simple process where you just come to the polling station, check for your name, and if your name is there, you get a chance to cast your votes. Well, this is ZBC News, the real African voice, and 2023 Zimbabwe decides.
Thank you so much there, Fungai, for that update from our Norton constituency, giving us the rundown there. I'm still joined in studio by electoral analyst and a local observer, Madame Abigail Mpambi. Highlight to us the highlights thus far of the general elections of 2023.
Thank you so very much, and of course let me take this opportunity to say, under the Civic Society and Churches Joint Forum, we have our national chairman, Reverend Angliston Swanda, who is of course leading the teams in Matabeleland, and this morning with his assistant Mr. Maxim Kandla there. He is leading a team on ground from the pre-election, and of course today the highlights from Bulawayo are such that right now things have just started in all constituencies. Since in the morning there were some the polling stations who were delayed to receive the ballot papers for local authorities, and the highlights as I came into this studio, the situation is settled, and of course the people are patiently in the queues voting. Voting is proceeding in peace. Crossing over to Manicaland, where Reverend Nyakun is leading the teams in Manicaland. The situation started, of course, the poll started very well, and there is crossing over Chimanimani, Chipinge with our coordinators there. Everything is moving on well. Right. Talk of Mash West, where our coordinator in Mash West, Mr. Ngonizache Paradza, is leading the teams there. He's confirming all is well, and of course he's covering it. Right now he's in Chinoi. I can continue. Mash Central, Mr. Mtuda is leading. We are in Harare. We actually have the teams leading, even our secretariat team. Mashingo, there was no problem since morning. No problems have been recorded, and so far they are saying the polls are moving on very well. So we can talk of Mash East in Marondera. Of course, we have been receiving messages from our coordinator there. The polls are going on very well, and of course we reported just a delay in one polling station, and of course this is a symbol. So far things are moving on very well. Right. We talk of Mash East in Yazura, things are moving on very well. We have our teams, and our we believe our competent teams are deployed, and of course with a backup on observer missions. And this is why, of course, I'll go on to say with our foreign observer missions, we tend to ask who is leading them on the ground. We need them to connect, because outside GPS it will be difficult for them to find the polling stations. Right. And of course we appreciate them, but we continue to want to synergize. We are meeting some of them on the ground here and there, but for us to have a coherent, robust report on what is happening on the ground, we need to have further interaction from the ground, national offices, as observer mission, of course, as the observer organizations, the local observers on the ground. So we will continue, of course, through our own platforms and other media houses to be giving out information on what is happening. We continue as an observer mission to urge people to remain peaceful and, of course, enjoy the vodcast, enjoy and of course exercise their democratic rights.
Right. Now, also appreciating the significance of one's democratic right, I'm sure you'll be expressing yours a bit later on during Indeed. The course of the day. Your final remarks to the people of Zimbabwe as they go and cast their vote and make their decision for the electorate today. My
final remarks is this is just but a governance process, a democratic one for that matter. And in a democracy, there is respect for the majority vote count. It is not a fight. Let us remain calm, peaceful, and of course accept the outcomes and continue, of course, to drive our nation going forward collectively as we are deciding today on Zimbabwe Decide today.
Thank you so much, Madam Mpambi, who is an electoral analyst and local observer for the general elections that are taking place during the course of the day. We do look forward to speaking to you again in future.
Thank you.
Once again, we do implore you to make sure that you do stay tuned to ZBC TV. Take advantage of our ZBC News online platforms. Send us your questions, comments, and your contributions during the course of our programming, as we always do appreciate hearing from you. We're now going to be going to Tafara Chukumira, who is currently in Gweru, to give us the rundown on the electoral process taking place there. Let's hear more.
Here in the Midlands province, as these voters are eagerly waiting to cast their vote and choose the leaders who will take them to the next electoral season. Some of the people in these queues came as early as 6 a.m. as they can't wait to practice their democratic right.
Problem atina dambudziko so that isusu madziso achanyatsoona tisingazivi kuti zvinonhingi zviri kufamba sei but tatarisa mazita tikamaona hapana kana pressure.
Smooth. I think I took about 5 minutes from the queue until I dropped all the ballot papers into the box. So far so good. Yeah.
The Zimbabwe Electoral Commission officials have confirmed that they managed to open the polling stations by 7 a.m. and they're saying the process has been generally peaceful.
All 11 polling stations in Ward 4, Gweru Urban constituents, opened at 7 o'clock a.m. with 393 voters.
Interesting insights are being shared there on Gweru and the developments that have taken place with the electoral process. Once again, reminding all Zimbabweans who have taken the time to vote for registration to be able to take advantage of their right and engage in the electoral process at varying polling stations in and around the country. We do look forward to being able to give you more of those updates as they develop right here on ZBC TV. We're now also going to be listening in to a few more developments that had been taking place. That is Thokozisi Dube, one of our reporters. Thokozisi Dube, rather, who will be giving us the rundown on where he is currently stationed. Let's hear more.
Zimbabwe Decides. We are coming to you live from Tekmine, which happens to be under Wobi constituency in Matabele North Province. We have just managed to arrive here on time, and the voting process started as scheduled at 7 a.m. with this ward election center, which has 2 polling stations. We also interviewed 2 presiding officers, Lungile Kuman, as well as Sondwana Kaston Gwenya, who are the 2 presiding officers based here at this ward election center. They gave us an account that the voting process started early in the morning as scheduled, and the environment is so peaceful. The majority of these voters who are coming here are workers dotted around this mining community. We also managed to speak to the ward elections officer, Sinigiwe Dube, who also indicated that although there is a low turnout at one of the polling stations here, the other stations, people are just coming in numbers to exercise their democratic right. This is ZBC News, the real African voice. 2023, Zimbabwe Decides.
There, of course, Thokozisi Dube giving us the update in Wubi district, of course, engaging the presiding officer at that particular polling station. We will be making sure that we do give you more of those updates right here on ZBC TV. Now, let's listen in to that interview that he had with the presiding officer earlier on in Wubi.
I understand the voting process is ongoing here at Tekmine. Maybe if you can share with us how the process started and what you are targeting to achieve here.
Yeah, we started at exactly 7 o'clock. Voters started coming in at 7 o'clock as is prescribed by the Electoral Act. And we have got voters in the queue. And we started well. There was no problem with no incidents of whatever kind that we experienced. We started on well, and the voting process is continuing well at the station.
In the presence of observers?
Yeah, we also have observers who came in to check and they are still coming in and going out, checking the voting process, how everything is going on in the polling station. And it seems everything is okay at the polling station. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much there to Thokozisi Dube there in Bubi district, giving us some direct engagement with the polling station officers. We also were joined earlier on by Chief Elections Officer Utlile Slaigwana, of course, giving us that breaking news update on various polling stations in and around the country. Now, I'm also back joined by Lucy Ngosolo. Interesting discussions that I had earlier on with Abigail Mbambi, who is the electoral analyst and also local observer. It's interesting to note that our local observers are also playing their role and function within our democracy of ensuring that we do meet the requirements for the elections.
Exactly. I like the fact that Abigail ukhulume ngokuthi ngesikhathi lapha abahamba khona kuma polling stations, they want to make sure ukuthi abantu bayazwisisa yini the language that is being used there, bayazwisisa yini ukuthi kumele ngesuke lapha ngiye laphana, kumele ndive apha ndichiyenda apha. Kuyizinto abazenza njengama local observers bebona ukuthi abantu bahamba kakuhle, bayezwa ukuthi ngifike lapha ngayenza lokho ngavota, ngazwisisa nje ukuthi ngivotile. Yikho ke muli yeZimbabwe esiliphathela khona njengokuthembisa esikwenzileyo ukuthi hayi siyabe sikhona apha ke siliphathela kusuka nje endaweni zonke zelizwe jikelele kuma polling stations wonke. Intatheli zendaba zeZBC zikhona ke khona ngale, ziyabe zilokhe zisiphathela zisitshela ukuthi kwenzakalani, kuhambe njani. Sike sakhuluma ke lapha lo Chief Elections Officer owe Zimbabwe Electoral Commission esichasisela ukuthi uhlelo lwakhona luhamba kanjani, ikakhulu nxa sikhangele farayi ngendaba zokuphuma ke kwama results, indaba abazigcizeleleyo abaziqonqosela kakhulu ukuthi abantu kababeke lesineke, ababe patient nxa sikhuluma ngesingisi ukuthi ama results aphuma phakathi kwamalanga amahlanu, within 5 days ama results kamongameli welizwe. Ngokunjalo ke uZulu weZimbabwe uhleli ecelwa ukuthi kabe lesineke, kabe lenhliziyo ende emelela ke impumela zona lezo. iZimbabwe Electoral Commission izasitshela ukuthi ke kuyabe kuhambe njani. Kodwa ke nxa sikhangela ama National Assembly kanye lama councillor uchasisile ke kakuhle ukuthi khona phana beqeda nje ukulungisisa amaphepha akhona wonke, bayabesazisa ngusukela khona ngale kuma constituency. Akula muntu ofanele ayethule ama results engomuntu nje engayisiyo ke iZimbabwe Electoral Commission. Ngomthetho ungatholakala usenza kanjalo uyakwanisa ukubotshwa ngoba kwephula umthetho.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you any further there, Lucy. Appreciating, of course, that during the electoral process, we have a legal instrument for the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission to be the official and singular body that announces the results of the elections. And of course, we will be broadcasting the elections right here on ZBC TV, waiting, of course, for the polling stations to close before the collation begins. And we will touch on that a bit later on. Now, also just want to get to hear from Lucy Ngosolo with regards to her also taking the advantage of the opportunity to go and cast a vote later on today.
Yeah, mukwenda kwechindi vele ndinanyampuka ano ambebo nke butozga kuli yangu polling station oko nkwesika votele mukathi kazibalya sona ngathula ngide kuti kuyosika muchindi icha 7 ma polling station anolikali kujala phesi mbulimbo bamba ibazeke ikuti ayo ima polling station achedwa ikujula ni 12 hours kuti mwajuli de a 8 muyojala ilvo a 8 chamba ikuti 12 hours ziyonseni tunoliko gatuli kuyechitira ikuti ambebo konzge ikuya kuvota ikwaliro mpuli ya Zimbabwe rega itimba onwira mvura tinodzoka zvaka.
Right. Before we do take a break though, Lucy, thank you so much for that. We're going to quickly go to Tapiwa Machemedze, who is currently in Rushinga, giving us the rundown on what is currently taking place there.
I'm rolling. 2023 Zimbabwe decides. I'm in Rushinga district of Mashoyan Central province. We've visited Rushinga Primary School, and we've also visited Gwangwawa Primary School, where we saw people eager to cast their ballots. Now we are here at Chitimbe village tent, and people are casting their ballots. The process is going well. I'm joined by Mr. Michael Elliott. the presiding officer for Chitimbe Village Tent. Makadi yenyu, Mr. Elliot.
Ndinofara right here.
Ndinofara. Mungangotudza kuti mavhura nguva polling station.
Polling station tavhura na exactly 7
saka mungati zvekufamba zvakadii, vanhu vari kuuya here kuzokanda uye zvekufamba nenguva
aya vanhu vari kuuya, vanhu vatouya makuseni chaizvo vachikasta mavhotsi avo. Zvinhu zviri kufamba zvakanaka, hapana any incident to report. Situation iri calm, zvinhu zviri kutofamba zvakanaka.
There you have it. Voters are casting their ballots well in at Chitimbe Tent A in Rushinga district. This is ZBC, the Real African Voice, 2023 Zimbabwe Decides.
Thank you so much there. So the updates are coming in there from Atapua Machemedze giving us the update in Rushinga. We will take a short break and we'll be back with more election updates right here on ZBC TV, the Real African Voice.
2023, Zimbabwe decides. ZBC Current Affairs, leading the conversation on local, regional and international news. We bring you the stories that shape the nation and the world. Be it social trends, economic and political developments, State of the Nation addresses, independence celebrations, Heroes and Defense Forces Day commemorations, and other national events. We bring them to you as they happen. With an array of informative programming, we bring you face-to-face with the decision makers as we unpack complex issues, giving you a platform to be part of the conversation. You can choose to face the nation and combat crime while talking farming. But remember to keep your vision 2030 during this new normal dominated by COVID Chronicles with ZBC Current Affairs. Together, Sonke, Tese, we will track and implement NDS1 to realize a better Zimbabwe.
National Development Strategy 1, leaving no one, leaving no place behind. In recent years, Zimbabwe has been experiencing power deficit of between 145 to 500 megawatts. To achieve energy self-sufficiency, government under the National Development Strategy 1, the second phase of Vision 2030, has embarked on numerous power projects across the country. Several independent power producers have also come on board to complement government efforts to increase the country's power generation capacity. The power projects include construction of Owange Unit 7 and 8, envisaged to add 600 megawatts to the national grid. The project is being funded by Zimbabwe and the Chinese government to the tune of 1.5 billion United States dollars. In addition, the Bulawayo Repowering Project, the Batoka Hydropower Project, and at least 39 solar power projects with the capacity to generate over 1,100 megawatts are some of the projects underway. Power is a key economic enabler, and as such, completion of these power projects is envisaged to stimulate economic growth in various sectors including agriculture, tourism, mining, manufacturing, health, transport, and education. With increased power generation, Zimbabwe will achieve its target of attaining an upper middle income society by 2030. National Development Strategy 1, leaving no one, leaving no place behind.
Kilimo chetu, our farming.
chirimwa chinonzi wheat production chinotangira pakuva nemvura madiridziro akanaka nekuti chirimwa chinodependa neirrigation throughout the season. Saka chekutanga kuona kuti irrigation system yako yakamira zvakanaka here ndo chinhu chekutanga. Ukange wadaro then wochitanga kuita land preparation yako. Land preparation yewheat inoda kuitwa thoroughly nekuti chirimwa chine seed diki uye chinozoda kudiridzwa, saka pakasadiridzwa pakasarimwa zvakanaka mvura inongoti inokasira kuvhepa ichienda. Saka tinotanga negood land prep. Yatikuti land prep kurima maybe conventional type yekuti tinotanga negejo kana ripa tapedza todiska. Tapedza kudiska tinozouya nembeu yedu tichidyara. Asi before that tinofanira kunge taita masoil test, ndo chakanyanya kukosha. Ng'anga yedu hombe pakurima, especially tichiti tida kurima commercial production, tichiti tida kurima zvekuti titi murimi aita pundutso, tinofanira kuenda kunotestesa ivhu redu, ndo panotangira goho redu ipapo. Taita masoil test takutoudzwa isusu uwandu hwefertilizer yatinoisa uye kuti fertilizer yacho yakamira sei, uwandu hwayo netype yefertilizer yatinokwanisa kuisa iri kuleka muvhu redu. Wheat ine varieties akawanda, companies akawanda. Tine wheat varieties from Citgo, from K2, from Ada. Asi varieties aya mazhinji akato breedwa for drought for tolerance against diseases, tolerance against heat and stress. Mazhinji neuwandu hwawo, mayield awo akangoda kuenda kufanana, mayield potential awo haana kunyanya kusiyana. Asi chinozosiyana iruoko rwemurimi kuriritira mbeu yake. Nekuti inini ndikatora mbeu yekukambani iyi ndikairima panapa, ndikatora imwe ndikairima, ndinogona kuzoona kuti zvese zvinoda kungozofanana, asi kuriritira kwako ndokwakanyanya kukosha.
Ndakasarudza mbeu select noti ndangotanga nekusarudza iyoyi. Takamborima mbeu dzakawanda, handigoni kutaura hangu makambani, asi dzimwe mbeu dzaita dzakunyatsoperumwa zvakanaka kana mayuzi acho ataiwana anga asina kunyatsova anoenderana nezvatinoitaisa. Asi select yeseed oil aiwa last year takakohwa 7 tons per hectare. Ndo zvinova zvatiita kuti tirambe tichifarira. Ende kuma disease ai mafungicides uko aijairiro nezvirwere stereki inoshandika nayo zvakanaka.
Wadaro